Hello fellow Star Wars fans, it is Starrapter here and welcome back to the channel. It's another week where we have some Star Wars comics to talk about. This week we have a big week for the High Republic Phase 1 as it ends with the High Republic and Eye of the Storm. We'll get into that later, but first we have Star Wars issue number 21 to talk about. And now we finally get back to what's going on with Shara Bey, aka Poe Dameron's mother, aboard the Tarkin's Will, which is Commander Zahra's ship. She has been stowed away there for literally months at this point, it seems like, just feeding the rebellion some valuable data about what the Empire is doing with their hunter fleet that's going around, trying to take out the remnants of these fleets of the rebellion after they left the Echo base. So this is really that snapshot story that's just all about how she's been surviving, how she's been scrounging away aboard the Star Destroyer. Really cool, kind of cryptic, really creepy stuff going on, right? This was the same Star Destroyer that survived the blast from the first Death Star exploding, and it has these scars, and the people aboard this ship are all people that have people that they know have fallen with that Death Star. So there's a little bit of a remembrance there, a memorial of these dead bodies just literally lying there, and that's how she was able to get these rations and about getting the armor, because it's armor of the dead that they haven't even moved off the ship. So you can only imagine the smell of that place. But it just shows you how she's, lurking around, skulking around. She comes up with this plan to get on a Lambda class shuttle where she'll be able to get a hyperspace and out of there. Of course, it's not as easy because Commander Zahra is not dumb. She knows that this would be something that would alert her if a shuttle had to be put into the maintenance area, which she could escape from. And that's where this issue ends. But we also have the perspective of Kaz Dameron, who at this time is, the husband of Shara Bey, the father of Poe Dameron. And he's with Mon Mothma, who's saying, look, the time is not right. We can't go after Shara Bey. We don't know. We don't have the resources, stuff like that. Well, he's going behind her back and getting together some Vanguard troopers for this big operation, as well as Starlight Squadron. So that's where we're going to get into for the next issue. But I was just so happy to get back to the good old Star Wars comic storyline of seeing the Empire versus the Rebellion. We're not dealing with Kira anymore, at least at this moment. So I'm very excited to see what's going to come next for Star Wars issue number 22. But the big thing, as I mentioned, for this week is the High Republic. So we have two comics, but you do want to read this one first, the High Republic issue number 15. And man, oh man, is this one heck of an ending. So we have Keeve Trennis, we have Avar Kriss, we have Oberyn, we have Sskeer. So many big, memorable Jedi are being put to the test when they're on Starlight Beacon, trying to get people out of there, trying to actually stabilize the station. We have Sskeer, who is sacrificing himself to kind of hold off the Nameless, which are these big creatures that are sucking the Force out of our Jedi. We see that the one Jedi, Nur, already suffered the fate of what happens. And we see that Keeve was almost sucked away by one and is saved by the Trandoshan Sskeer. And I love this little detail as put in there by Kevin Scott, because he had this syndrome where he's losing his connection to the Force. So that's why Sskeer volunteers to kind of, stay behind as Keeve and Avar go ahead to hold off these monsters. Will that be the last time we ever see Sskeer? Who knows? This guy seems like he has 9 lives because he's almost been dead by the Drengir, and now he's fighting these things. Anyway, so we get further along, and we see that Avar Kriss finds the character of Maru, who is holding together the hub of Starlight Beacon, and he's doing his damn finest work to try to get it together. And well, it ends up that, she has to use the Song of the Force to kind of link all the Jedi's minds, like she did on Hetzel with the Great Disaster, is able to inspire all these Jedi to do some heroic moves. But Maru force pushes her away into an escape pod and lets her go out. And then we have Keeve Trennis in the meantime, who's trying to go after Sirat and Tarek. And well, there's a big vacuum of space that explodes and she gets sucked away, but then they come back to life because Avar's Song of the Force and is able to save them. There's so many big triumphant moments, but one big downtrodden moment is when Lorna D ends up taking out Oberyn, one of my favorite Jedi, this goo Jedi that has this exosuit, and she shatters his helmet. The goo goes out. Maybe he's still alive, who knows? But she takes command of the Ataraxia, the Jedi's big ship, and gets out of there. So Lorna D is still alive. And in this closing part of the issue, we do see Avar Kriss kind of just losing it. She sees the Starlight Beacon falling down to Irem from the stars, and she's just at this moment where she is like the pinnacle of the Jedi, right? Maru tells her this before he leaves and Force pushes her away. You are the symbol of the Jedi. But then we see the character of Keeve Trennis, who was knighted by Avar Kriss in that first issue, being the one that's giving Avar a holding hand and being the one that's going to have the person to stand strong with Avar Chris. So that was a very poignant ending. I love what Kevan said. It's not the end. This is just the beginning and all this really cool stuff. For there is a little bit of hope at the end, but man, oh man, does this feel like the Empire Strikes Back. So there you have it. The High Republic issue number 15 really landed pretty nicely, tied up a lot of loose ends, but of course, we're going to go back in time for phase 2. But first, we got to talk about Eye of the Storm issue 2, because this is one of 2 issues for the Eye of the Storm duology, or whatever you want to call it. This is basically the epilogue to what is happening in the High Republic Phase 1. We have 4 different scenes that encompass different aspects of what's going on. The first scene here is called The Wreckage, and it's all about the aftermath, how the Jedi, how Chancellor Lina Soh is dealing with the loss of Starlight Beacon. It's a straight up reaction to what's going on. The Jedi are pulling themselves back into the core because they don't know how to deal with these creatures that are utilizing the Force, right? The Nameless, they're called. They don't know how to fight them. They have to retreat back to Coruscant. But meanwhile, we have the Republic Coalition Defense Fleet, or whatever it's called. They're going out into the Outer Rim to try to see what the heck is going on with the Nile. So you get to see how Lina Soh is a very strong leader. Even in the face of defeat, she's still able to kind of pull herself together and kind of lead these people and listen to their advice of what needs to happen. But then we have scene 2, The Hunt, and this is excellent. So we already knew at this one point that Loden Greatstorm was pretty much like a test subject for the Leveler, which was basically the thing that's called the Nameless. So that's just a single Nameless, but we know there were several in Starlight Beacon. So this little short story in this issue is all about how Marchion Ro of the Nile unites these 7 different people he handpicks from the Nile's ranks, and he calls them the Chosen. He even goes as far as to kind of basically give them a branding on their forehead to basically showcase, yes, these are the best of the best. And they go down to this planet, they sacrifice all their strike ships so they can get through this atmosphere, which is very deadly. When they get to the surface, that's where they find this very colorful, vibrant world, and it is filled with the Nameless. They are able to capture them and bring them back. We have scene number 3 called The Triumph. And this is where we get to see Marchion Ro's master plan. He didn't want to just stop at destroying Starlight Beacon. The reason why he did this in the first place is he's tired of having the boot of the Republic kind of down on his face. He wants to have his own way of doing things. He doesn't want to be working underneath the site of the Republic, and now since they've expanded onto the Outer Rim, he feels like that's his territory, his place. So the whole point was to kind of send a message with all these things, from the fair to the great disaster. He wants to send a message to the Republic saying, hey, we're our own faction. We're just not a bunch of marauders and raiders. We are actually a faction, and we want to have our own place in the galaxy, so stop messing with us. And what he does, with the help of Chancellor Yaru, who at this point is dead, she was the one that kind of put together that gravity well kind of technology. She created a thing called the Storm Seeds, which are basically like mines triggered by hyperspace. So he has placed these all on the borders of the Outer Rim, so any ships that we see, including this awesome passage where we see these Republic cruisers, military cruisers, going into the Outer Rim, they trigger this with the hyperspace, and they just completely get obliterated instantly. So we now have a very strong message from Marchion Ro sent to the Republic saying, we are here, and you are not going to invade our territory. It is ours. If you try to get near us, you will be dead. And that is a very strong way of ending phase 1. We also have this one last scene 4, called The End, and that's where he deals with Obertruck. We also see Obertruck in the first part of this issue, where he is this Jedi Master of Farzula from Star Wars, The High Republic Adventures, I believe. And we get to see that Marchion is just this guy. He goes out swinging, man, because he actually has this Jedi prisoner and explains to him just the meaning of fear and all this kind of stuff, and literally just has the nameless creature, which is finally revealed. We actually get to see what it looks like, not this distorted kind of version of what the Jedi see. This kind of like Cthulhu-esque feline type of creature, canine creature or whatever, that actually just sucks the lifeblood, the force out of Obertruck. And that is where we see Marchion Ro kind of grinning, and that's the last page, the last portion of the High Republic Phase 1. So whereas, you know, the Falling Star kind of left me like wanting a little bit more, I feel like this I call this the epilogue. the Eye of the Storm issue 1 and 2 really kind of went out on a strong note to show us like, okay, there's a lot to look forward to. The Outer Rim is basically in denial, but we're going to go back about 150 years in phase 2 back in next up in October. We're going to get those stories of the quest of the Jedi and seeing how those people that we know that are a little bit older now, how they dealt with things in the past with colonizing the Outer Rim and all those sorts of things. So there you have it. A lot to talk about, especially with the High Republic. What were some of your favorite moments from the High Republic comics and the High Republic in general? Let me know in the comment section down below. For more on Star Wars, I have an entire playlist of the High Republic. You can go back and check out some of those videos I have done in the past. And for more on Star Wars, check out our weekly Star Wars podcast called Outer Rim Transmission. I do it with my friend Milton and Ben, and we go over everything news-wise in Star Wars that week. We are also available to download on all your favorite podcast streaming networks there. So that's going to do it for me, Starrapter. Thank you so much for watching, and may the Force be with you always. Thanks for checking out the video. Please hit that thumbs up symbol. It helps me know that I'm making content that you guys enjoy. And if you enjoyed this video, I also include 2 videos down below you guys should check out. And please consider subscribing to this channel. It helps support me and it notifies you guys of when I get new videos up on the channel. You can also contact me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Starrapter.